hell is going on in the video game industry?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's
This
somber.
is crazy.
It's insane. So Telltale closed effectively. It's a
Kinda,
weird
yeah.
middle ground, right? Where it's like, they have a skeleton crew, 25 people in theory finishing off Minecraft, but they just, bam, fired 250 people, no severance, kicked them out the door. What a world.
I mean, I was in the middle of reviewing the final season of The Walking Dead.
Right.
I don't know. It's kind of weird to think that I won't finish that at all. I mean, there's talks that they might have some.
Well,
way to
what'd
do
you
it,
hear on that front?
it also caused some controversy because they said other companies were going to help them release the final 2 episodes, but maybe you should pay your workers before.
That's the thing. So
Yeah.
everyone's like, I'm sure there's a fan outcry saying,
Yeah.
hey, we want the end of The Walking Dead. People have been invested for a long time, want to see the grand finale. They build this as the final season. And then it's, nope, we're not going to finish. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, everybody. And now they said, maybe we will. And it's like, well, if you have some money to finish off those episodes, give them to your employees that you just laid
They
off.
build it so hard too that was our last hurrah with Clementine, which is kind of special because that first game is really what put them on the map, the very first season, and then she was a big part of that. So
Yeah.
kind of sad if I don't get to see what happens to
Yeah.
her, but I want people to get paid and I want people to not, I hate what happened. So it's like the fan in me would like to see it. The fan in me also can acknowledge that it's a crappy situation all around.
It's a mess either way. Like, is there a best case scenario where they could release the episodes and that would make them money to pay their employees? Is
I
that
don't
too
know.
rose-colored
Well, nothing's
glasses?
going to keep the studio open.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, they don't have money. That's why they're not paying their employees. I mean,
Right.
it sucks, but I agree.
Definitely, yeah. And so everybody online is certainly blaming leadership, saying like, how could you mismanage
That
things
badly?
to this degree? Where it's like, oh, last second, all right, everyone's fired. Bye. It's like you would
Especially
think.
because they had put out all the release dates for the final season of The Walking Dead just like a week or 2 ago.
Yeah.
It was not that long ago.
And they also announced Wolf Among Us Season 2
Yeah.
coming in the future.
Like
If
that
I-
morning that they closed, they were like putting stuff up on Twitter and stuff. It was crazy.
Well, I mean,
Right.
I think they were thinking, their lifeline is going to be Walking Dead. Like, will we be able to sustain with this? They just released, the first, 2 episodes?
no, only the first.
Or the first one, and then they have,
The
3
second
episodes left?
the second was supposed to come out this week. I went to try to go play it. It got pulled from the Steam store, so
Oh,
only a few
wow.
people have been able to play it if you got it early enough.
Oh, interesting.
Unfortunately, we were in issue meeting when it went live, and I couldn't
Right.
go into it. So it's like I can't even play that now. I don't know if anything's going to change where Steam will let me access it, but I can't.
do we know why they pulled it after putting it up? Is
Because I
there
think
some
they just
legal
felt bad
thing?
selling this game that was never going to be finished. And so when you're asking people to pay full price for something and then it's just going to go off into
Okay.
oblivion,
Sure.
I guess that's the idea. Is there, and I know focusing on the game is not fair to everyone who's laid off. It's a brutal situation. But at the same time, is there like a universe where maybe this is a best case scenario where everybody gets to have fond, I don't know, more interesting memories of Walking Dead now that it will never be finished? Does it feel a little bit like James Dean dying while he's young or something where it's
Oh,
like
it's like a legacy of maybe she lived, maybe she didn't.
maybe,
People can have their own theories. What happened to Clem?
Sure.
'Cause-
Star Trek getting canceled in the 3rd season kind of thing. Is that what
I
you're
don't
saying?
know. Maybe a little bit. It'll always be like this legend that Walking Dead never finished at Telltale. Instead of, like, people love a lot of Telltale games. I certainly didn't feel a lot of enthusiasm for that final season. Even the reviews didn't seem hot out of the gate for episode 1. And maybe this is a best case scenario for the overall Walking Dead story. Is that crazy? Is that dark?
I
It
think
is dark, yeah.
I think it might be even if they get the funding or someone else steps in to do the final episodes, are they going to be true to what that vision was?
Yeah,
Will it be the same
exactly.
quality, right? Like, so you got to you have that concern right there that the final chapter, you already got to put an asterisk on it.
Right.
So yeah, I kind of agree with you, Hanson, that yes, it sucks that we've been vested this long in this story arc about this girl. We've watched her grow up in this series has had great stories, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
great moments. And now we really won't know how it ends according to their vision, Telltale's vision. I think leaving it open-ended is probably the best scenario you can think of right now, unless the original dev team comes back, or the ones that were working on this entry,
Jesus. Yeah.
gets paid, feels
Yeah.
comfortable enough to deliver the same
Because
quality
they couldn't
game.
even
Yeah.
because of licensing issues and stuff, they couldn't even kickstart to finish it either. Like the
Right.
people who created
crazy.
it, if it's outside of Telltale, they couldn't do that. I'm just trying to think of in a world where there's no way we get it. I
mean,
feel
and
like.
even, do you think fans would accept if it's like some sort of, the beginning of Mass Effect 2 where it kind of reflected on Mass Effect 1, you had to make those choices. It was just like a series of stills and you could kind of work your way through it like a comic book panel or something. Maybe there's some middle ground.
I think you're totally right. You just got to let it go. Yep.
Man, that's brutal.
Can you imagine just like, what was it, 7 years ago that the first season came out?
2012,
Felt like it
yeah.
was a long time ago. But just like how high they were riding after the success of that thing, and
Yeah.
they were winning Game of the Year awards left and right, and it's just like everybody was like, this is cool, and they reinvigorated that industry basically, the whole
The adventure genre?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Oh,
nobody
yeah.
was talking about adventure games back then. And if you had said like, oh, this is gonna how they're end, you'd be like, what?
Well, they're
Just gonna like kind of putter along and then fade into. Nothing.
smart with the properties they got in that they were experiences you didn't get elsewhere, where you had like a really good Walking Dead experience. You had The Wolf Among Us.
Yeah.
They were taking you to new worlds, but when they went to like Batman, Borderlands, and Minecraft, I'm like, there's really great games of these already, and this is just kind of a weird Telltale version of them, right? Like they weren't as exciting to me just
Yeah.
because I already had great game experiences in those
people
places.
regard what the Borderlands won pretty well, and
Yeah.
the second season of Batman, people say that was pretty good.
People
but
loved it, but nobody played it though.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like I wasn't compelled to play those because I feel like I'd played that formula so much.
And Reiner,
times.
if you're not playing the second season of Batman,
Yeah.
no
is?
one is.
No one
Honestly,
is.
that
I played
is-
the
that's all you
first
need to know.
episode. I didn't like it. I was
That's
like,
crazy.
but I heard it gets a lot better after that one. Like it's pretty common that first episode, people saying like that one wasn't great, but then it really picks up steam.
Right.
But yeah, I just didn't feel compelled to go to those games.
Yeah.
I've played so many Telltale games up to that point. I latched on to more of the unique experiences where they had a unique voice in the industry, opposed to, Rocksteady makes the best Batman games. Sorry, even if you have a great story, like
Right.
that is the true Batman
And
experience.
it is different enough, yeah. I think it's just a nice reminder of like how fragile absolutely everything in the game industry is. Like Telltale, you just take them for granted. Like, oh, hey, let's make fun of the new episodes that's coming out. Here we go, Telltale game engine, bat. And it's like, oh, they're gone. It's just
Yeah.
like you take everything for granted, and it's just bam, things can disappear.
And I think Stranger Things probably would have done pretty well for them.
Yeah?
Like that seemed like one of those properties that's hot. There isn't a lot of stuff in the game space in that capacity, and they could do something with it.
Yeah,
Although Guardians of the Galaxy may be the same story, but oof, that was a brutal game.
yeah.
That was a
yeah.
brutal game. I played 2 of those episodes. I was like, oof.
I'm good.
So you were
my friend.
compelled to play the Guardians of the Galaxy, but not Batman, huh?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like,
Try it.
hey, what's a Guardians game like? I want to experience that.
All right.
Whereas
Yeah.
Batman, I know.
What are like some of your favorite Telltale memories, Telltale episodes, Telltale specific chunks of gaming here?
That ending of the first
Walking Dead.
Last
season,
episode,
yes, I
Yeah.
freaking cried. I haven't had a game make me cry like that I don't think ever. Like I was sobbing.
You were sobbing like Elise playing Life is Strange 2 episode 1.
I was just like, I wasn't expecting to even be that emotionally impacted. Like, I knew I'd grown attached to Clementine and, like, I liked her relationship with Lee, but when everything played out, I was just like, damn, like, this is powerful that a game made me feel like this.
Yeah.
And it felt like a good moment for video game storytelling. I think that's what else I liked about that first season of The Walking Dead. It brought back a focus on narrative in a way that like it hasn't been put front and center in a lot of games, because they like totally were dialing back on gameplay and just, we are about the narrative. And like I said, that became more and more evident throughout the games, and they still throughout their run, even for me I've been reviewing The Walking Dead now 4 seasons. There is still good writing in it throughout. Like, it's not that it was awful or anything. It just it stopped doing things that were surprising and new.
Right.
So that was the problem.
Yeah.
I remember playing that first episode of the first season, and I think I was reviewing it and trying to convince everybody on staff, like, hey, this game's actually kind of good, guys. You should pay attention to this Walking Dead game from Telltale. They're like, what are you talking about?
Telltale, the Back to the Future Jurassic Park team?
Yeah.
What the hell are you
exactly.
talking about?
But
Yeah.
it was like crazy, like, oh, you can have a game that's pretty much just story. And I think this was pre-Gone Home, right? So it was
Yeah.
like that idea wasn't that solidified in the industry
Sure.
yet. It was cool to see.
I mean, it started up all those conversations that people had. Is this a game? Da, 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 da. And like, that was interesting to see that it sparked that up, but it got even more and more like fuel to the fire
Yeah.
as it went on. But it really did show that like a game does not have to have all these flashy mechanics to be fun, to be considered a game.
Totally.
And I like that they kind of set that and
Yeah.
started down that road.
And even like it had a big impact. Like I know Bruce and Neil from Naughty Dog on The Last of Us, they were committed to having realistic graphics for The Last of Us because they're like, well, to make an emotional punch for a video game, you have to be realistic. And then they said that they played Walking Dead and we're like, damn it, we were wrong. We could have gone stylized the whole time.
Now halfway through The Last of Us Part 2, we're going to see a change in the
She puts on her
graphic quality.
cell suit.
Yeah, it's like
very
South
cool.
Park.
Yeah.
I think for me, just their format, the episodic format, I really liked. Like returning to a world, like having that big cliffhanger, and then having those water cooler conversations about it, and then coming back a month or two later and continuing it. I like that a lot, and it also allowed people like to have that conversation of, oh, I'll play it when it's all done. Mm-hmm. Like I don't know, they had something cool going there.
Yeah, for sure.
Everybody remembers like The Walking Dead like that once they hit that formula, but like one of my favorite games Telltale ever did was Puzzle Agent.
Hell yeah, Puzzle
remember that
Agent.
game?
Yes, it's awesome.
That was like I think it honestly is their best game. I mean, Walking Dead had the story, but like Puzzle Agent was so unique and different.
And it has a story.
It does have a story, which is actually kind of fun.
Yeah, it is.
It's about this guy who's a puzzle agent. He works. Do you remember this? You played Hanson, right?
Yeah,
He's like a puzzle agent for the government.
The government has a puzzle agency, and he gets sent out basically to a set from Fargo.
Yeah.
To like solve. It is Professor Layton meets Fargo.
Yeah, it's super
with like a
bizarre.
really unique art style. You can play it on every system. Yeah, I'm totally
Puzzles
with
are
you,
actually
Reeves.
pretty fun.
Yeah.
But I loved the goofy atmosphere of that, and so it's like I kind of miss. I mean, I was happy for Walking Dead and what it did, but I was kind of sad in the sense that they just kind of followed that formula after that, and they didn't go back to some of these other games that they did
Even
and did
I
well.
like their Back to the Future games. Like they
Yeah.
were weird. Like there
Yeah.
was, I forget if it's episode 3, but at some point in the Back to the Future run, it becomes clear that like Doc Brown like hooked up with some lady when he was in high school, and it resulted in him just like having a crazy amount of confidence. And then he basically takes over Hill Valley and
Yeah.
runs it like it's 1984, and he's like
Yeah.
this crazy Orwellian figures. Like they did some fun stuff with Back to the Future lore in that game.
Yeah, it was a fun game too.
And Jurassic Park.
Oh man, that has some great
Favorite.
moments.
There were
though.
dinosaurs.
So silly.
I still feel so bad I have never finished that
Oh,
game.
you have
I
to.
played one episode, and now it seems like a good time to go through and just blast
You
through
have
the
to.
Should we
entire
do
thing.
for Extra Life or something?
That would be like 10 hours of
I don't
Extra
think it's that
Life.
long. I don't think it's 10 hours.
What's like 5 episodes? Every episode's
Yeah.
probably 2 hours, right?
Really?
It's probably like 8 to 10 hours.
That would be fun just to make it
know.
a recurring thing throughout Extra Life.
Yeah.
though.
Super replay.
Yeah.
Super replay, yeah, or even Game Club. Try to do something with it.
Jurassic Park.
It sucks though with Telltale going down to talk about like one of their worst games and just like
Can you-
bash the hell out of it. But
Can you even find it? That's the thing too.
yeah, I don't know, man. Telltale, we'll miss you.
Yeah. Thanks
Good
for the
studio
memories.
gone down.
Great stories. Great experiences.
Yeah, thanks for all the hard work from the developers out there, and I hope they all land on their feet somewhere. I'm sure they will. It's a
Talented
hope so,
people.
yeah.
yeah,
over
good looking resume. If you've shipped a Batman game, Guardians of the Galaxy game,
Oh,
you're
yeah.
good. That was just a clip from a larger show called The Game Informer Show. You can find it on iTunes, Google Play, or GameInformer.com. We take the fun opportunities and exclusive information from Game Informer magazine and boil it into a show that airs every Thursday with exclusive cover story information, developer interviews, a lot of fun stuff. So come love games with us.